Good morning.
Good morning. You look like Vietnam. Good morning, Adam Walker.
Hello.
Hello.
Hang on.
Oh, he's playing with his roadcaster.
Hang on.
Oh,
hang on.
Oh, we stopped.
Hang on. Do that again.
Oh, you haven't got sound effects, have you?
Pop those on.
Pop those on. Have you got sound effects?
We have. Hang on. What about do your Good Morning Vietnam?
Good morning, Adam Walker. Oh, no, that was me, Adam.
We've got effects. A new toy, Andy.
Yes, it's very good.
Yeah, new podcast.
New podcast setup.
4 microphones.
Excellent.
We're only using 2 right now.
Yeah, that's okay.
But yeah, we've got the Roadcaster, and it's amazing because
you can do all sorts of different things, like talk like this, for example.
What do you think?
I think it's exceptionally good.
So you know what that means?
What means
we
what?
can have guests.
Oh my goodness me. Do you know what? It's a good job I emailed somebody the other day.
Did you?
I did indeed. So we've got something special planned.
They've kind of half featured, actually. I do know who.
Yeah.
They've kind of half featured, haven't they?
Yes, they have. We're not allowed to tell anybody because it's a big secret. No, it's not.
It's news to me. News to me.
No, but it's going to be good. It's part of our expansion, isn't it, Adam? We're looking to, hopefully take the podcast. P.S. What episode number are we?
13.
13.
Episode 13.
Thank you. I knew that.
Yeah.
I knew that really.
You can pop your headphones off now.
Can
I finished
I?
playing with the effects. So episode 13, I was thinking about this. And then obviously we are leveled up in Dalton Stream Space a bit more. Look, we're on a table this week. Last week we're in our usual comfy chairs.
We were.
But I've got this fantastic table and obviously got the microphones.
It's a lot better setup, isn't it?
It's getting there.
It's getting there. I really like it. And the fancy lights.
Fancy lights, with controller over there. Thank you, MDOC Entertainment, for
big shout out.
Help me out, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
But the cameras can't look behind me because I've got shelving all over the floor.
Okay. I'm not allowed to move now, am I? I can't even look at the camera.
No, you can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see it. But yeah, don't look over there.
No, don't look over there.
So, how's your week? We're early, first of all.
We're early, so it's Happy Wednesday, everybody.
It is. Budget day.
Budget day. Is it really?
It is, yeah.
Okay, I like to budget.
Do
I
you?
know that's...
I don't think anyone likes to budget.
No, don't. But apparently it's supposed to be good, isn't it? It's reducing tax or things like that. I've read into it very briefly.
He's refused to move on whether he's given hints on whether he's doing income tax or whatever. But we'll see.
We'll see. It'll be interesting for everybody. How about your week, my friend?
Do you know what? Really good. Busy. Trying to...
it's difficult saying that when it's only 2 days in.
I know. I am actually... The reason why we're doing this today is because I am off to York.
Can I just add a little sound? Well, I won't press the sound effect button, but I can just go, ooh.
Oh, wait a minute. There might be...
a reverb echo-y one. Ooh.
That was a trombone.
I didn't hear it. I didn't have my headphones on.
You didn't have your headphones on. Okay. Headphones are on the way.
Headphones are on the way.
Headphones are on the way. So yeah, we are going all right this week. Did a podcast in here yesterday with the client.
Oh, really? With the client? Oh, excellent.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't have all of this here just by then.
Did it arrive just afterwards?
It did.
That's called Sod's Law.
It is. But it was a really good podcast. Really enjoyed.
May I ask, content-wise, who was it? Or is that a secret? Another secret we can't say?
No, it was Mr. David, who you know.
Mr. David?
Who you were with last night.
Ah, Mr. Lamb. A very nice gentleman indeed. A very nice gentleman.
Yeah, you saw him.
I went to see him last night. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he will become one of your... Well, he already is one of your customers. And fingers crossed, he'll become one of my customers.
Yep, so he came in with one of his guests. It was great.
Oh, excellent.
All around property and sharing insight. Really interesting.
So,
really interesting.
Can I ask, because obviously the podcast room stream space was only set up last week, was that like instant? He was like, yes, I want to do it. Or did you have a little bit of
already doing some.
Right.
So we've been doing it and been taking our gear to renovated houses.
Right.
We've done one on Zoom.
Nice.
And I was like, obviously we've got this space here. We were looking for a space to do one. And I was like, well, I've got just the space.
Have you got a stream space?
I have indeed. It is here.
No, that's pretty good though.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
No,
it'll get there.
Good.
It's trying to juggle all the work and obviously.
Do you know what? Say that again. It's trying to
juggle all the work.
Wow.
Have I tenuously linked to some? He's got paper. Have I tenuously linked something that I know nothing about? I must add.
Correct. 6:30 this morning.
All right. I messaged Andy going, I think we should talk about this. And he said, no, I have it covered. I will tell you when we're on air.
Okay, yeah, exactly. I'll tell you on air.
Right.
So really what I thought, Adam, was that we, not sidetracked, that's unfair to say. I think it's fair to say that we've left Adam's bookshop alone now.
We have.
We went on to gaming. I really enjoyed last week's episode.
I really enjoyed it as well.
I got a lot of engagement with a couple of my friends saying, oh, do you remember this game? And do you remember that game? It was really, really, really good.
Can I just say, before you continue, Andy's leveled up because not only has he done his homework.
Yes, I have.
What do you sing when you do your homework?
I've done my homework. I don't do my trombone.
No, I'm just making sure I haven't left like echo or pitch on. We've been talking high pitched.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Not only have you done your homework, you've actually printed 2 copies out.
Yes, I
You've
have.
given me one, and they are stapled.
I know. How efficient am I?
Be very efficient.
Very efficient. Okay, so I'm sorry that I'm springing this on you.
No, let's
but
go for it.
I will let you read the first bit, as in up to the bit where it says standards, and then I'll explain what I was thinking.
Okay. Adam's bookshop is now well established, has a good reputation within the industry, and his business is growing. He employs 4 staff, but still finds himself incredibly busy and wishes he had a spare set of hands to help, but is cautious about employing more staff and increasing his outgoings. Tech can help with the following rule set.
Okay, so my thought behind this was, and it's very akin to your and my business. I know how busy you are, mate. And you know how busy I am.
Yep.
We're trying to run the business. We're trying to do everything, as well as fitting in podcasts.
Of course.
Yes, of course. But what I thought
highlight of the week.
Yeah, I know, highlight of the week. But what I thought about doing is, how do you make your Adam bookshop more efficient? But of course, you don't want to go out. We mentioned this the other week off air. I was saying to you that Resilient is growing to a point where I believe I need another person of staff, but that's a big outgoing. It's a big risk. It's a big commitment. I've obviously got to somebody, coming on board. So what I thought was, how, without doing that, and again, putting ourselves in Adam's bookshop area space, how can we improve our efficiency? And if we go for the first one, standards. Now, you and I have spoken about this a lot, again, off air in terms of our own business. But I believe that any business, by putting standards, you, Adam, in his bookshop, can ensure that everything is done to the highest quality. Adam must set, by example, the high standards that he wants his own staff to exhibit. And what I want to ask you, without reading all of those things out on air, Adam, can you read all 4 of them? And I hope, like I did with Resilient, can you go, yes, I see everything that you're trying to do, and how
So
that
am I reading it now or not?
No, just in your head.
Just in my head.
But then,
So don't read it.
that's fine.
So just think of standards.
Think of standards.
Okay.
But then how have you applied them to HubSpot? And then you can have a look and go, actually, I do that.
Okay. So if I'm going to think aloud, because it's podcast and people can't see in my head, I think, obviously, from my experience, you develop a product or a service of some description. So it's important for how do you replicate that with other people.
Correct.
And,
other businesses,
Yeah, and deliver to the same standard.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Couldn't ask for anything more. That's one.
What's the processes for
Brilliant.
people to follow?
Correct.
Both customer and staff.
Oh,
Yeah,
You
am I
literally have-
doing all right?
you're doing all right, man. This is amazing.
I think I'm on a business. So I think that would be the next challenge, and then I probably suppose some kind of maybe this is a bit softer, but staff training around customer engagement. How do you work with people? What the process is, and then that's all I can think of.
Right,
so
okay,
I'm gonna
then.
have a look.
You're going to have a look. So
Right.
now read out the 4 that I put.
Consistency and quality in everything you do. Yeah.
Wow. So that's
I got
exactly
that.
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, okay. Efficiencies, basically. Standards to improve workflow, help reduce cost and waste. Yeah.
Which is what you were talking about.
Yeah. And then respect for each one of his own staff. respect for every customer, no matter how painful the customer is. And it does happen. We love our customers.
Yeah.
But
What I was thinking in terms of there is that I have worked with some great people in the past. I've also worked with some people that I think I don't want to work with you anymore. And you know, without going into too much details, they seem to run the business by like barking and shouting. And that seemed to be the way that they ran their business. And everybody's different, Adam. I totally get it. But I think one of the things that I've learned in life, when I've seen people, when I've worked with people, I've identified, oh, that's a really good thing that you're doing, Adam. I'll take that on board, and how I can put that into resilient. Alternatively, I've gone, I'll never do that in my company. You know, and that's the type of thing that I can do. Now, I know that you work with some great people in your business, Nat and Jess and I've forgotten her name.
Alina, who brings
Alina,
the coffee.
for the coffee.
Every single
Alina,
week.
I'm sorry.
Every single
really
week he
sorry.
says Alina's name.
I know. But what I was thinking is that I can see such a respect. You know, I walked in, remember when you were having that meeting, and you were all great there. You would engage with each other. I don't think there was a fear of somebody going, oh, I didn't say anything.
Oh no, you need to encourage transparency. I think transparency, healthy challenging.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
No issue with challenging things as long as it's done in the right way.
Yeah, but I think what we're talking about here, and certainly things like, I really love the start that you said about standards. So we've said this before, you've probably been part of Resilient Standards. I've come in on board and I've gone, right, I need to do this. And it's like, what are you doing, Andy? Every machine has to be the same setup. Every machine, and I'm leading on to some of the things that we're going to come on to, but it's if you've got a set way of doing things and you know it works, well, why not stick to that procedure and call it a standard? And what that means is that a standard for one customer can be applied to the next. And what I also like about what you said is, if you've got a standard that you find doesn't work for a particular customer, let me ask, do you adapt it? And do you adapt it for that customer? Or do you then try a backfill to your other customers?
That's a good thought. What I can say is we've recently had... We were talking about... Well, actually, let me rewind. Last May, Mum, Jill, who works in my business, helps with the business development side and everything that we do there. And it's been really valuable to me.
Absolutely. Okay. Especially the 9 o'clock reminders on a Friday.
Absolutely.
We're not going to get it today because it's Wednesday.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows what will go on today? But, you know, but one of the things when my mum came in and was trying to support me with cash flow, forecasting and all that sort of stuff to see what we're due to make.
Yeah.
You know,
and she's got a really good background with that.
She has,
yeah. Phenomenal background.
She made the point that it's all in my head. So
right.
Because it was just me and it was just me and Natalie, there was still a high proportion of the business that was still just in my head that no one could see, no one could understand, contemplate what that looked like. So in terms of the first procedure, my mum always recounts this story. She goes, well, what's going on? Tell me. And I went, and then the way she describes it is I manically started slapping Post-it notes down on a table with like, we're doing this for them, and this for them, and this for them, and this for them. And she went quiet, and this for them, and this for them, and see, I've got it all in hand.
I know it doesn't work for a podcast, but can I just demonstrate what your mum was probably doing? It was just like,
head in hands,
shaking.
She actually went very quiet, didn't say anything,
which is unusual for your mum.
Let me finish, because she knows the stuff.
Very vocal,
she knows
very
the stuff,
absolutely.
But she gave me the space to get all my Post-it notes out my head, and she went, Adam, this is nuts. But that's my point. I can't see all of that. And I was like, got you, understood. So instead of having to carry things around my head when I was and it would relate to this, you know, I went from just me running it to having other people. The point was, I was like, I've got it all covered. And I might have thought I had my finger on the
pulse.
Yeah. But the problem is my team couldn't necessarily see some of the other things. Now, they don't need to see everything in terms of cash flow and contracts and all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But equally, there needed to be a higher degree of visibility. So that, to me, was the biggest wake-up call. So when you talk about procedures,
Well, we've moved on to procedures now, by the way, with standards.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how you naturally flowed onto that.
Yeah, but the standard, would be, well, my standard needs to be not all in my head.
Yeah. Now, if I can, procedures is the next point that we're picking up on. Put procedures in where you can. Everything has a good way and a bad way of doing things. You find a good working practice. Now, I know you were really, I know, bless you were reading, but you were going on. Practice, working practice, document it and improve on it. And that's literally what your mum said to you. Said, but it's all in your head, Adam. Put it on paper,
100%.
Put it in a procedure, put it in a document. And I suppose one of the things that I'd like to also put in here about maybe standards, right? Share everything. What went wrong? What went good? How bad did it go? What do you do? What didn't you do?
So, hang on.
Oh, hang on. He's fiddling on his phone.
He's just jumping into his Teams.
Oh, Teams on your mobile phone.
If you haven't noticed, we like Teams. Look, in HubSpot operations, a file called processes.
Wow. That's good, isn't it? Did you catch the minions, by the way?
Chipmunks.
Sorry, not minions.
No, I'm still looking for the chipmunks. Right. TikTok, if anyone's wondering.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to show you, and Alina, please put this on screen in the edit.
Oh my goodness me. That is awesome.
Workflow chart, workflow thing.
Pardon?
That was a train. I've left the window open to see if we can pick up things like this today. So if you hear random...
16 minutes and 17 seconds, Alina. Check for a train noise.
Yeah, maybe a train noise. It may not be. I'd love to know.
Yeah.
Right. So when we take these cards off the cameras...
Yeah.
And now off this,
now
for
off
example.
Roadcaster.
Yeah. What's our process? So
nice.
I knew what I needed to do. Had I accurately... And Alina kind of knew what she needed to do, but have I ever actually accurately communicated that to her?
Right, carry on, but let me come back to that. Literally, I'll replace that with something that I found for me.
Yeah, so I was like, have I done that? So I created this workflow where it says shoot, and then on the cameras it shoots to 2 memory cards, so we've immediately got backup. Then we need to put the card on a portable hard disk in the office that we have, and immediately then back it up to our server.
Correct.
Which runs in backup. Then at that point, we can format the SD cards.
Yeah, because you've got it, you know that, but it's ready for the next shoot.
We've got 2 copies.
Yeah.
That are in 2 different places.
Yeah.
And we know we can wipe the files. Because you imagine, I was filming yesterday.
Imagine those gone.
Yeah. I can end up clearing a card and not, it's a real concern.
Imagine ringing up David going, can you pop back in and do all of that again, please?
Can you do all of that spontaneous discussion again, please?
Absolutely.
So I documented it and I went to Alina. Have we ever... I know we've kind of gone around this, but here's the formal way of doing it.
But here's the formal way.
And in Alina's apprenticeship assessment last week, she had an observation. Well done, Alina. I thought you were amazing. When she had that assessment, she showed the examiner our workflow process for handling media.
And again...
And he was like, this is brilliant.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So what I was going to say was exactly what you've just said. It was all in my head.
Yep.
So recently, you know that we took Dan on board. He started the 1st of this year. One of the things that I said to him is every time that we come across a job, one of your things to do is to say, hey, is it documented? Mm-hmm. Have we got a workflow for it? He would sit down, and for some procedures we hadn't. So what I would do is I would go through what I did for that customer, for that procedure, and he would document it for me, which is great. But what I'm getting at, one of the great ones is, I've already done that, says Andy, all smug. Yeah. And he literally, bless him, tore it apart. Because in my head, it's like, follow step 1. I knew what I was doing, but the way he turned around and went, yeah, but you know what you're doing. So therefore, you've documented it in a way that you go, open up the screen and do this. But he went, how do I know that? So getting it out of my head and having somebody read it as not a layman, but you know what, giving it to Alina, giving it to Jess and going, do you know what I mean by this? And obviously Dan read mine and went, that's just rubbish. You've put it down, Dad. It's all the right words, but just not necessarily in the right order. And he went, but how would I know that? For something that I went, well, you click on that option. Well, you know to do that, but I wouldn't. Fair enough. Good point.
I'll be honest. It was one of the biggest things that I didn't know.
Correct. No, absolutely.
It's one of the biggest things.
But it doesn't, does it? Because you're so busy trying to do everything, But if you get it down, and that's one of the reasons what 6:30, I was sat there, I was like, what have I learned? What have I tried to do? We're all busy, but how can you get better? And procedures, it basically means, now, the other thing I'd like to say is now that you've got that workflow and procedure, assume you get a new member of staff. What's the first thing that new member of staff can do?
You can go, there it is.
This is how we do it.
Any questions? Let me talk through it. And then the diagram is a good way of visually showing somebody.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. You still have got to get that person used to doing it. I think, we've had this before where I think I always get it wrong. I'm sorry, Eddie. You always tell me, but I always get it wrong. If I show you how to do something, Adam, you're like, yeah, I get it. I can see it. I've read it. But unless you do it again and again, there's that three things that I always get wrong. But it's like the last time is I understand it. I see it, I do it, I understand it now. So maybe, and the other thing is important, maybe Alina or Jess or your new person, which, we're talking in Adam's Bookshop, comes along, maybe they can improve on it. Have you thought of that? Yeah. So once the examples I've got in procedures, for example, once you gain a new customer, ensure that procedures are followed. Create them as a new Teams customer folder. Add them to your CRM database and add them to your accounts package. And that's just an example. But can I ask, and I think we've mentioned this before, for your new customer, David Lamb. He said, yes, Adam, I'd like you to be a customer. You must have followed the procedure. Okay, so once you've done that, here's another example. Have a start of day, end of day procedure. So again, if I can just ask you, Adam, have a quick read of point number 2. Is that something that you do? As in, what did you not get a chance to do?
Yeah, so point number 2, sort of. Yeah, okay. I suppose we don't have it written down, but we do have a start of day, end of day procedure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really important.
It is, isn't it?
And I would add, if you're in a bookshop, lone working.
Yes, absolutely.
If there was ever that sort of instance. But yeah, I think especially for something like a shop or in our office, we power everything down pretty much.
Yeah, remember I was saying to you that now that Business Central have got this new tariff or whatever, we use the smart speakers, Alexa, we use smart plugs. So 6 o'clock every night, everything gets powered down.
You use automation.
Who'd have thought of it? Now, a couple of examples here. So I wanted to make sure that I could link it to something Resilient's doing, but something for Adam's Bookshop. So there's 2 things here. I use something called Project Up. It's called user profiling. Okay.
Ooh.
That's what the UP stands for, by the way, Adam.
That's clever.
That's clever. Makes Alina smile.
He's smiling at the camera again.
Exactly. But we use that in Project Up. So what I mean by that is that I've identified you, Adam, as the owner of the bookshop.
Okay.
You will have certain things, certain pieces of software on your computer. You will need certain access to certain things like Teams admin.
Okay.
Teams HR.
Yep.
So you've got 4 people working for you. Pick a name, George. George is somebody that works in the shop, but obviously he doesn't want access to the admin folder or the HR folder. But he uses Google a lot. Mm-hmm. He uses other things a lot. Maybe he plans your diary, when you disappear to Germany again and again and again.
For my rare books.
For your rare books. So maybe he needs Google. Maybe he needs the planning software for your train. So what I'm getting at is that when I sit down with a customer, I identify and go, what's you as a user profile, Adam, the owner? Well, I need a laptop. I need a couple of docking stations. I work from home a lot. I need this, I need that.
Yep.
What does George need? Well, he's never works from home. He's only in the office, Monday to Friday. Okay, well, he needs a desktop then. He needs this software. And what we do is we profile each user so that when you say to me, oh, I've got a new person starting, I literally, and it's how I go, okay, Adam's Bookshop, what's his role? And you go, he's a George, he's an admin.
Yeah.
I now know, right, that means a desktop, that means that means that. Again, you must have something similar to HubSpot. A particular customer comes along, can you profile them in a certain way and go, that's what I would apply?
Yeah, I think for our side of things, I think if we look at it, it's a good example, different industries.
Yeah.
In terms of different requirements for social media and what they need.
Right.
So, for example, Reels, TikTok content.
Yeah.
If we're trying to engage certainly a younger crowd, Reels on Instagram, a bit different. That's more anybody.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Really, but if you really want to lean into that younger crowd and get accused of being the guy that kidnaps the chipmunks,
yeah,
you need to be on TikTok.
But what I'm getting at is back to procedures, mate.
Yeah.
So all this links back to the procedures. The procedure will work for a new computer. The procedure will work for a user profile. You've just mentioned there that within Adam's Bookshop, let's say that your trip to Germany was successful.
Yeah.
You've got the book that the customer wanted. When that book arrives, there must be a procedure. Check it's the right book. Check it's good quality. Check it's not been damaged in the post. Have you informed the customer? And again, going back to your story about your mum, when you first started out in the bookshop, it was all in your head.
Yeah, 100%.
But now, get it on paper so that George, as he's, admiring Adam and going, ooh, I want to be you soon. How do you do that? Well, follow these procedures. Follow that.
And I'd equally say it comes back to filing, like even just simple things like computer files, right? All businesses probably start on everyone's own laptop or everyone's own desktop.
Absolutely.
And then obviously Teams is the thing that we talk about, but that's why, because you can unify your filing system so it's open and available to everybody. You can shut off various areas so, personal data isn't shared with the people it doesn't need sharing with, and sort of the business sensitive stuff can be protected behind a passwordy situation.
Passwordy system.
Yeah, and then it's all backed up. So
yeah,
I think that's the other side of it. And I see that a lot when I'm working with different businesses that we work with. It's like, where's your documents? And they'll be like, it's on my thing at home. Or, So I think, especially with the bookshop sort of thing, you need to be able to sort of move through the business electronically.
Yeah, it's interesting as well in terms of other procedures. Now, just a thought, the procedures that we've got down in here, they're all internal procedures, okay?
Yep.
Again, putting you on the spot a little bit. For example, some procedures that Resilient have is we work with some customers that demand certain things of us. I'm going to get the letters wrong, but is it the DBC checks that you have to do?
Yeah, DBS.
DBS, thank you. Sorry, not DBC. So that again is a procedure that Michelle, when I engage a new customer, we get to learn the customer and they go, actually, one of the criteria before we even engage with you is, are you DBS registered?
Yep.
One of Michelle's procedures is we all update our DBS. She makes sure that with all that. So again, can I ask, does HubSpot have anything like that?
Yes, me. At the moment, it's just me. Yeah. We're in the process of trying to track down where the local centre is to get them done.
Right.
Because it's actually changed after COVID. So I'm on the update service and I sign up and I readily do that. And obviously, with like Alina coming to the end of her apprenticeship, she's going to be out doing more and more filming, but she's always been with me.
Right. So obviously, because it's covered. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and usually we're with a member of the organisation we're working with anyway.
Yeah.
So we're supervised. But I always get that as best practice. If anyone knows who's running the DBS system in Darlington, that'd be appreciated.
Yeah. Please email Adam at.
Yeah. me
at. Okay.
So yeah.
Right. I'll let you read the next one, mate, because I think this is a good one. Actions.
Don't procrastinate about things. I love this.
I know.
I know it's easy to say, but what ifs and not acting can lead to stress. Have regular meetings, listen, learn what went wrong, how we can improve.
So literally, if you just pick up on what you said there, without you knowing it, you've jumped to actions, but you mentioned it up in the procedures. Be honest.
Yeah,
that's what you were saying. And, again, that's why me and you get along so well in terms of that, because I believe that you can say anything to me and vice versa. And, it's not personal, it's not anything, it's business.
We're trying to figure out the solution usually. Is the case.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important to do.
So, and again, if I can mention when I walked in on that meeting that you have, again, can I ask, because obviously I don't sit in your office every day.
So it was a team meeting.
So how often?
Every week.
Yeah, every week.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So we do, there's two main meetings that we do. We do a team meeting.
Yeah.
And that's usually by Thursday.
Yeah.
So Thursday mornings is when we do it. But then we do a Monday morning kind of like a social media meeting, which is just like, right, let's just rattle through the accounts.
Yeah.
Are there any editing requirements that we're not aware of? What's planned for the week? Have we all, is there any updates from any clients that no one else knows about?
Any left fielders?
Literally any left fielders or anything like that we're unaware of. And quite often I'm like, actually, I've got 3 left fielders that have happened over the weekend because business owners have texted me or done whatever, So that's really important.
Unbelievable how you keep linking to things.
What have I done there? Which one?
Well, don't say anything, but look down at rules and look at what number 1 says.
There we go.
Amazing.
Yep.
It's all, and bearing in mind, you've not seen this.
No, I haven't seen this.
So it's
No.
very nice. So go back to your regular meetings.
Yeah.
So that must be great for you in terms of how HubSpot works, because it must be a way that anybody can air some views,
Yeah.
regardless of what it is. I have an open policy with Resilient. It's like, look, just say it, shout it out.
100%.
You know, and that's the way that it should be working. And I know that you run the exact same way with your team.
When we're working on documentation, for example, like copy for a website or whatever, we'll normally push it around the team to go, tell me what's wrong with this.
Yeah.
Um,
Alina goes, you've done the.
Yeah. I do that a lot. But it's like, tell me what's wrong with this.
Yes.
Please do.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather we snag it
Then the customer.
in our safe environment than the customer goes, you've written the twice.
Yeah, twice. Okay.
Yeah.
So, number 2.
Yeah. So, see, I notice something doesn't sit right. Don't leave it. Much better to be honest and call it out immediately. Otherwise, things just get worse.
And again, you've just mentioned that exactly thing.
Yeah.
So,
This can be with clients as well, I might add.
I was just about to say, you stop reading my mind without mentioning specific clients or like that. You remember I was saying to you about the guy last week, and I mentioned, he said, I did the quote and I put some fudge factor in there about the unknowns. And he said, what about the unknown unknowns?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, remember that? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that to me, if ever I now see that or hear that again, I call it immediately out to the client. Basically, what I'm saying is if the client says something to me that I don't understand, I don't leave it, I don't wash over it. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, can we stop there? It may jeopardize the contract, but I'm like, but I don't understand. And if we get off on the wrong foot now, how's it ever going to work? So have you got some examples of that?
Loads.
Welcome to the 1 hour episode of...
From day... I actually experienced this very early on in my time. And it was very uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
Amendments, for example. It'd be like, okay, you've amended what I've asked, but you haven't amended. You know, you've done A, B, C, but you haven't done D, E, and F.
Yeah.
And you're like, you never... D, E, and F didn't even exist until now.
Yeah.
Right, we'll go and do that. And it was almost like, I'm going to keep pushing you back away into this. And I think the lesson I learned, and I do feel fortunate that I had that early on.
Yeah.
Because it was a really horrible period for me.
It is,
personally.
isn't it? But it puts you under stress and pressure because do you say no to the client? You know, you're a young business.
So I learned very quickly that you've got to go. I mean, ultimately, what happened is it's like, no, this isn't. You've got to kind of. Unfortunately, I'd love to get on with everybody. I would love to.
It just doesn't happen.
But unfortunately, it doesn't happen. And sometimes it's just ways of working don't match, don't fit. And I was like, I can't deal with this. This is, I'm not your guy.
Yeah.
Basically, with respect. So I was fortunate in some regard that I had that very early on. I was also very unfortunate that I had that experience very early on.
Yeah. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm glad I had it. Because you learn a tough lesson.
You would do it much quicker now.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I think if we can give again, we're not saying that these podcasts are advices, but I'm hoping that a lot of business owners can sort of like empathize with us. Yeah. And I think, again, we've mentioned this, you may be doing 80% of the work for 20% of your customers and like, well, hang on a minute, no, I'm sorry. And don't want to use those words, but have the courage to sit down with that customer and go, it's not working.
Yeah, and you need to do that. And I waited way too long on that first one.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
The other lesson that I learned is, like, and this is 3 other things, and this kind of comes back to IT and tech and all this, like, they might not have very good systems in place or they're not interested in how they can do this. And I respect that. People have got their own way of working.
Yeah, people have different ways.
But the problem is when you start paying the price and feeling the pain because of their implementation. And that's why I'll always try to encourage a customer who doesn't have necessarily those systems in place to speak to you, for example, or whether there's some way that we can work with them to improve that.
Well, it's interesting.
To remove the pain.
Yes, it's interesting you mentioned the amendments in the early days. And again, we mentioned this openly. Resilient used to do websites, very little now in terms of what we do. But it's oddly enough that the website one came to it. Customer centers the document, because I asked him to, document down in a Word document everything that you'd like us to do. So, the home page, the contact page, etc., etc. That was sent through. We did all the work. Me and Michelle spent a good couple of hours putting it all together. We then demonstrated it to the client, who wasn't very happy. And I was like, but it's exactly what you've sent me. And they were like, no, we didn't send you all of that. Anyway, long story short, they weren't using something like Teams or the Google Docs. And one person had sent the document to their partner who'd made a load of amendments. I was sent the first version.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So again, you're nodding away there, but exactly right. So I went, and it was a difficult conversation to have. But until I went, no, please have a look in your sent items, look at the email that you've sent me, look at the Word document. Now, you're also going to love this. As with any customer, yes, you're absolutely right. I've sent you the wrong document. I totally apologize. Can we still go live tomorrow, please?
Yeah.
But you're right. Calling it out immediately.
And it doesn't mean you're going, yo.
No.
But it is important to address things. And that works equally the other way. I've had to address things that we might have fallen short on.
Yeah.
And best way to do that is just front up and own it. And
be honest.
Be honest and explain it. And it's not great. But it's important that you do that.
I think it is important, Adam, but also I feel as though it's human nature. Let's say, for example, I did something wrong for HubSpot. What the first thing you would want me to do is be honest and open and admit it.
Yeah.
And what I find, and certainly the things that I try to give as an example to Dan and Michelle and Eddie, and to be fair, they already follow that. But one of the things that I personally feel is the right thing to do is, okay, Adam, I've done something wrong. Here's what I've done. Here's the effect it's going to be causing you. And here's what I'm going to do to put it right. And here's the procedure I put in place to ensure that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. Communication.
And I don't think, now you can be angry with me, but you can be angry with me up until a point and going, okay, we're all human. I've made the mistake. I can see what you've done. I can see what you're going to do to put it right and how you're going to improve to never happen again. You can stay angry with me for half an hour or so, but then I'd argue and go, okay, I'm human. I've made the mistake. What do you want me to do?
And I think that's a really important thing to do. And I think it comes back to that first one, in terms of standards.
Yeah.
You need to own up to it.
Yeah.
And own it. But equally, it's about honesty at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer, as you would expect, I'm a big believer in honesty, and transparency.
Yeah.
And sometimes things might not go to plan, but you end up because you've ended up doing something else for them.
Yeah.
Now, I've learned very quickly that you can go, I've done all this stuff. And then when it gets to the crunch time where they're going, right, you haven't done this. And you're like, but at that point when you're like, but I've done that, that's too late.
It is way too late.
You've got to be very proactive. And I think, like I said, don't procrastinate about things.
No.
That goes for decisions as well. Like we're sat here with the Roadcaster.
Yeah, that was a decision you must have made.
Decision I made it quickly based on the facts that I have at the time, and I've talked about this before, and I know it's the right piece of kit for the job. Now, whether we've got it optimized today or not, I do not know.
Well, interestingly, one of the things that I put down there against actions is, and this is something I put down, I can't tell you the amount of times that this has happened. We get a customer ringing saying, my computer's running slow.
Yep.
Yeah, can you jump on and have a look? We jump on and we basically, I've written down there, it's a faulty piece of hardware. So it can be a hard drive, it can be something. And sadly, they'd be like, how long has this been going on? And they're like, it's been running badly for the last couple of weeks or months. And I'm like, well, why didn't you tell us straight away? Now, again, bless them, everybody's human, didn't want to bother you. I was too busy. Yeah. But the downside is I end up then, not escalating it, but, speaking to maybe the MD and going, look, sorry, Adam, this is now broken. I need to replace it. It's going to cost you X. If you'd have told me up front earlier, it would have only cost you Y. But again, what I'm saying is don't procrastinate. And I know you're a big, I was funny enough, as I wrote that, I went, Adam's going to love this one. Hence why I said, can you read the actions?
I think it's really important.
Yeah, it's what I'm getting at.
I think it's really important.
Yeah.
And it's just in whatever you're doing, whether it's running a fictional bookshop or whether it's running a business or just even just stuff around the house, even just making a decision and weighing it up. You've got to weigh it up. You've got to consider it, but you can only do so much of that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do what if this happened and what if that? Well, learn from it.
Yeah.
Learn from it.
I think you've also got to look at the opportunity that decision will bring.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So for me, I'm like with the Roadcaster, obviously we're working with Stream Space. For me, we can now have 2 more guests. Oh, we got guests coming. I've got another guest lined up as well, by the way.
Oh, have you? Nice.
Like, what does it afford us? Well, actually, it allows us to broaden the experience of what we're offering.
Yeah.
Hopefully offer a better value podcast.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
and
not just for our listeners.
And a varied podcast.
Yeah, not just for our listeners, for our customers as well.
Yeah.
You know, I've already got some of my customers going, oh, right, podcast. Interesting. I've always wanted to. I've always thought. And I'm like, get yourself in.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, making that decision was a sound decision.
Sound. I like what you did
decision, top quality equipment. So blown away with it. I knew it was good, but it's about looking at the opportunity rather than the threats. You know, that's SWOT analysis.
No, your SWOT analysis.
But the opportunity is greater, far greater than the threats. So this is just an example this week where I've gone, that's what we need. That's what we're doing. Because HubSpoke it'd be different if it was just me and you every week.
Yes, you wouldn't need it.
But I'm doing this elsewhere with other clients.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Can I pick up on that? I pick on that other action. You've done that with some hardware. Going back to last week, my friend, you also made an action. You decided to go down to London, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, and
I did.
You know, we said last week, you know, congratulations, you won that. But that was an action. You didn't procrastinate.
Yep.
You thought, right. And let's go back to the other things that we were talking about in the previous podcast. Let's assume for a second, Adam, you didn't get that contract. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what did you learn from that?
Well, I would have learned whether I was punching too high.
Yeah.
You know, if we didn't get it, or I'd learn a reason why we wouldn't get it.
Yeah, you would have asked.
I would have gone, okay,
fine. So thank you.
Yeah. Could you let me know like why? Like what was the detail? What let us down?
Yeah.
And it would have given me some valuable feedback on, say, because I had to complete a video task. So it would have given me some valid feedback on like whether my videos were up to scratch or whether it just wasn't as current enough, this, that, and the other.
You didn't gel, you didn't match.
Yeah, we didn't gel, didn't match, didn't know the subject area, which I thought I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
You know, and the approach. And am I dwelling over a few £100? It's a lot of money.
It's for anybody.
For nothing.
For nothing. But
to get nothing.
What I'm getting at is you made the action.
Yeah.
And we spoke about and touched this on a numerous podcast episodes. We always get my friends like, I could never run a business because what if I fail? And I'm going, well, what if you're successful? So what if you didn't go down for that London job? You wouldn't have got that contract. You wouldn't have been able to, you know, and that's driven. And the other thing I want to touch on in terms of the actions, and it was something that I felt genuinely, I felt powerful about. One of the things that I get, and I'll put you on the spot yet again, the action that you took to go down to London, it's a risk.
100%.
You were traveling down on the train. You must, and if I was you, I'd have been going, have I done this right? Have I done that? Let me reread. Let me make sure I do that. Yeah, exactly. I would have done exactly the same, my friend. You're getting there and you're like, right, you know, my respectful, must remember my P's and Q's, must remember all of these types of things that you did. But when you came away from that and you found out that you'd won the contract, if you're anything like me, punch in the air and go, yes!
100%.
But that then drives enthusiasm to the rest of the business.
That, ironically, is actually my favourite part of running a business. When you say, we're going to do this and that, and it's going to look like this and that, and this is what you'll get for it. And when someone goes, yes, please, that's a real...
It is, isn't it? It's a buzz.
Yeah.
It's
one
real
of the
buzz.
best feelings.
It is, absolutely.
It really is. And I enjoy that the most part of the business.
And it's satisfying is what I'm getting
It's competitive, I suppose.
It's competitive, it's satisfying, but also what I feel, and going back to my friends who was, maybe I never could, I then turn sometimes negatives, and that's what I'm saying. Put yourself in the situation that you'd lost that contract. That, to me, if you're anything like me, and you are like me, because that's why we get on so well, right, what did I learn from that? How can I be better? And if I did that again, what can I change for the next time so I'll make sure that I win?
Yeah, and likewise, you know, with our podcast journey and doing podcasts for other people, podcasting's huge at the moment. There's a lot going on about it. We started first doing podcast years ago, actually, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And it was great. Well, we didn't have the format quite right.
Yeah.
And that was me and Natalie, and actually what we're talking about, I really enjoyed it. We did the 12 podcasts of Christmas.
Very
and
good.
featured different businesses.
Yeah.
And that was all, it was COVID time, so we did it on Zoom. And I really enjoyed the content. I thought the subject matter was good. But what we weren't doing, and I think what I've learned, especially in our journey here, is filming it for the short form content that we put out on social media.
They've been really successful, haven't they?
Yeah, and it's all we want to do really is provide some value to people and hopefully some light entertainment along the way, you know.
Well, if you ask your TikTok viewers about stealing chipmunks, they're getting tons of entertainment.
Exactly. So I think, you know, the lessons learned from that is, was it worth doing? Yeah, it was absolutely worth doing because it got me used to the podcasting landscape in terms of how you distribute your podcasts, how things go out. It got me used to, you know, the challenges faced when you're producing it. So like then coming back to do this podcast, because I was like, right, the time's right now, because we're already doing it with clients. I was like, right, I know what I've done. I know all of that now, and it's building on top of, and I've got a very clear and different vision on how we run our podcast.
Yes.
And lo and behold, we're now sat in a different room, you know, Stream Space. And we're, you know, I personally am developing Stream Space, but also HubSpot excited developing the media side of Stream Space and what we're doing. And Resilient are right there all the way along.
Yeah, exactly. But again, has it not opened up another avenue, another revenue stream? You can
100%.
now offer podcast Stream Space, not only for Resilient, not only for Adam at HubSpot, but also for Business Central.
Well, here's one. We put a video on TikTok yesterday talking about the podcast we hosted, and we had an inquiry through the website yesterday afternoon about it.
No way, Jose.
Yeah. And officially, like the thing's all live, but we're not quite, obviously, like I said, furniture.
Don't look. I told you before.
Look behind us.
Look behind you.
But, you know, so it just shows you what the reach can have and what the short form stuff, bit of engagement, showing that we've got the facility, the equipment. People go, it's build it and they will come. Build it and they will come. And that's the issue. Go back to the bookshop example. Yeah. How much money would you have to spend to create your bookshop? That's an open-ended question because sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit.
But in order to have stock, you have to give away cash, yeah? So it's about liquidity.
Ooh.
A bookshop isn't very liquid, as in you can't get your cash out of it. No. It's all in the shelves in terms of, you're going to have to buy shelves. You're going to have to buy the books. You're going to have to buy
security, CCTV, alarms.
Yeah, exactly. The IT infrastructure. Yeah. You're going to have to pay rent. You're going to have to pay rates if they apply.
Broadband, yeah, absolutely.
All of the different things that you do, all just to have someone buy one book.
Yes. But you get the buzz out of it.
But you get, but it's that example, and it's that example in everything that a business does, I would say.
Yeah.
What's the next one?
So, can I smile at the camera again?
Alina's resetting. Go on, you reset mine, Alina.
Yeah, you can smile. Okay, so.
She's resetting yours now. He's smiling. There we go.
In actions, you mentioned rules, and you even specified some of the rules in standards. So, what I would like to do, again, it's important to understand rules. Ensure each employee understands the working practices and the rules. And even as I wrote that this morning, I thought, it's obvious, it's bloody obvious. Mm-hmm. It isn't sometimes to some people. You mentioned about sometimes when you're working with customers, it doesn't gel. We have seen, Resilient have seen people come through other businesses, and you can just sense that's not going to work.
Yep.
You know, and sure enough, 4 or 5 months later, where's George or whatever, didn't quite work out. Yeah. So I think it's important that if you get a new employee, so Adam's Bookshop, we've employed George, it's important they understand the rules and they understand the workspace. They understand, I don't want to say the limits, Adam, but obviously, it's trying to understand and trying to get that employee to go, look, you're working for me now. There's a different life set. You're not at home anymore.
Parameters.
And that's what I'm trying to do. One of the things that I certainly learned from an early stage, and I was mentioning earlier about I've been witness to other people. I'm like, gosh, I'm never going to do that.
Yeah.
So I remember about barking at people and shouting at people. One of the things that I put down here: stop, look around, and understand the pressure. Ensure staff are taking their breaks. Do not encourage after-hours working. And you mentioned I work at a weekend. I do. I work all weekend.
Yeah.
But when I send emails to maybe, I'll just send off to Dan, or I'll just send that off to Adam. I don't expect you to reply. it's convenient to me. So, answering emails outside of the hours. And finally, I create a risk management log. Identify weak areas of the business. It's important as a business owner, I think, because basically, let's face it, the pressure comes down to you and me.
Oh, 100%.
Now, God bless, I've got Michelle and Eddie and Dan, and, they're absolutely side by side. But when you went down to London, Adam, who made that decision? Was it
Yeah, it was
Jess or was it you? It was you.
It was me.
So you have rules, my friend. You have rules in doing, yes, I will do that, but also by providing those rules to the staff. And I don't just mean turn up on time. I don't just mean, your half hour. Relax those things in your head, but also appreciate. And some of the things that I put down, knocks the microphone. Some of the things I've certainly been witness to is families. Somebody comes in and maybe they're not as joyful, or maybe they're take the time out and what's up? Anything that I can do to help? The rules are there, but it's I'm not, not feeling too well, or I've got some issues or whatever. Yeah. Fine. Take them, understand them, and make sure that they fit in. And you do that. I know you do that with some of your staff as well.
I think culture is the biggest thing that's probably captures that in terms of working outside. I don't expect any of my team to be picking stuff up out of hours. And in fact, I've actively made a push myself to minimize the amount of work I now do outside, or at least amount of HubSpot work I do.
Yes.
Because I do the DJing,
of course,
for example. But that's a different thing. It's a different mindset. It's change. And I'm up for it. And I do enjoy doing these things as well. So there's a balancing act. As long as you're enjoying it, it's okay. And I've got the balance wrong with HubSpot in the past. The thing that I do, a couple of things. One, mobile phone. These are rules to me.
Yes.
This goes on charge in the kitchen.
Yep.
It is not next to my bed.
No.
Right? My wife does have her phone in the bedroom on charge. That's fine. But I can wake up to messages from people at 3 o'clock in the morning with business owners and stuff when they're awake and thinking about things.
Yeah.
For my self-preservation, I have just moved my phone into the kitchen.
And that's a great rule.
And it goes on there and it's on Do Not Disturb. My phone automatically clicks onto Do Not Disturb at 5:30 every night.
Nice.
And it comes off at 8:30 every day.
That's automation, isn't it?
It is.
Wow.
Automatically. I will still receive the message.
Of course you will.
And I can then choose where I do it. But the difference is and then I've got I think it's just very simply, I've just added a load of people to the favorites list.
Yeah, because they can break through as a call.
Because they can break through as a call or a message, and I still get that.
Yeah.
So I've made a point of doing that, muting various WhatsApp groups.
Yes.
Or
turning the comments off because I'm I've added my bit. I'll come back to you, but I don't need to. I don't need to be told every minute.
And this doesn't mean that I don't care.
No, of course
it just means I'm just trying to preserve, because I'm involved with the rugby club, for example. There could be,
are you really? You've never mentioned that.
Yeah, well, I coach the mighty under-9s and I play, and I'm also on the committee. So there is a senior players group, there's a coaches group, and there is the committee group.
So you must get bombarded.
Oh, it's constant. And it's the senior players is normally about games at the weekend or someone having a laugh at somebody or whatever.
Exactly. Bit of banter.
The committee can be to do with operations and what we're dealing with there. And then the coaches stuff can be related to facilities, fixtures. There's a junior rugby tour coming up. And you're like, if your phone's ringing all the time.
And don't forget, this is all outside of HubSpot.
All outside of HubSpot, yeah. And then I've got all the business owners.
Yeah.
Or colleagues or whatever contacting me. So I've had to put things in place for me, and that's been my lesson, to make sure that the first thing that happens on a morning, for example, is I don't roll over, check my phone for the time, but see 16 issues or 16 potential things. All my Facebook stuff, like we are a social media company.
Yeah.
I have all of my notifications for social media turned off on here, but it is on my iPad.
Yes.
So again, I've set the parameters there. So if I need to check it, I can. And I can look in and do it. There's not an issue, but it's more on my terms.
Good.
If that makes sense.
Good. So basically, I'm saying the rules for you as well as your staff. Make sure if you're a business owner, and again, as I said to you earlier, it sounded so obvious, but I think sometimes, when
it's
your mum
unspoken.
But you remember when your mum said it's all in your head. Yep. So one of the other rules that hopefully you've now created for HubSpot is once I get something new idea or I've created a new procedure, get it out of my head and onto paper.
So how that works, someone inquires about some work.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a half an hour photo call for some photos.
Something as simple as that.
Something as simple as that goes in our bookkeeping software as an estimate.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether I send it to them or not, because there might, be a flat fee and it'll be that, and I'll just go back and email, yeah, it's this. But then I'll make sure I go in the bookkeeping and create the estimate so it's sat there, so it's then visible to.
And it's easy once that, hopefully, fingers crossed, that job comes. It's easy to then invoice it.
Yep, and that's what happened last week.
Yeah.
So on I think it was Thursday, I had to shoot out, take some photographs. Or was it Friday? One of the days, shot out, took some photos, come back, it was there, just had to convert it to invoice, hit send, and it was done.
That procedure, that standard was there. Would you say would you class that as efficiency?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to turn the
100%.
page?
Oh, here we go.
What's on the other page, mate?
Here we go. He really has done well today, I must be honest.
What's the heading?
Efficiency.
Yeah. Oh, my Lord, it's as if you
It's
played
the
into
ability to do something in the most economical way possible. It is important to be efficient, to maximize profits, minimize costs, streamline processes, eliminating waste and time, using technology to automate tasks. I'm very surprised you put automation in.
I know. Well, things that I want to do. So honestly, one of the great ones that I had the other day, so this is for one of my customers, won't mention their name. They've got a lot of volunteers, a lot of staff that work from home. So I think it's about 60 odd people that work. So they are spread quite far away. Had a call with the lovely lady, and again, what I was saying to you in terms of like after a while, you gain confidence with the customer. We've onboarded them.
Yep,
they're all done. They're all happy. And then I said to my contact, I went, okay, let's say we've got the pain out of the way. Mm-hmm. We now get you on board. Tell me what your pain points are. Again, I know it's an awful cliche sometimes. But like, what's your problems? The first one that she went, oh, thank God for asking. One of the major problems that she has is that she can see, because she's copied in, she's the owner of the business, she can see that when everybody's emailing somebody, so person A emails Adam and CCs her in, she looks at the bottom of the email signature and it's like, Adam, and all the stuff, and then all that. And then she gets from the Andrews, and then she's like, every single person's email signature is different. I've sent them all out. I've sent the exact document to say, couldn't copy this. And what do? Don't quite like it, and they amend it, or they change it, or somebody hasn't got that procedure, missed it for whatever reason. So she said, can you help? And I went, automation here. We can do a centralized email signature software. So it's linked into Microsoft, or in this particular instance, it's Google Workspace. You actually remove all of your email signature from your email. So I could come to you, Adam, go into your Outlook and go into that and go, get rid of that email signature. I could go onto your phone and get, say, sent by Android or sent by get all of that. I create what's called a connector to the Microsoft Exchange. I know, a connector. I do all of that. And basically, I can pick up all of the Azure or the, in this case, Google Workspace. Everybody's obviously set up as a user.
Yeah,
Adam,
of course.
Walker, MD, blah, blah, telephone number, mobile number. The automated email signature process pulls all of that information out and puts it in kind regards, Adam, mobile, web.
Yeah.
And then underneath, there's a standard set of instructions where it just goes business workplace, telephone number, website, please, the disclaimers, and I could see her eyes lighting up. She's going, oh my gosh. And then I said, what's really good is that we're obviously at a time Christmas.
Yep.
We of blah, 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 wish all of our customers a very Merry Christmas. And then she was like, does that mean that I could put in there every other month when I hold an event, like a social event, I can put it so my customers know? And I'm going, absolutely.
I've used the email signature manually. I've used it manually to add graphics and this event book now.
Yeah.
And it's worked.
Yeah.
It does work.
It does
I've
work.
seen
So what I'm saying there is automation, because one of the other things that this software can do is it can do it on your mobile phone. Because obviously it's going through Microsoft or
through
Google,
the servers.
Even when you're sending the email from your mobile phone, it automatically adds the signature on. And bless this lady was like, now. I just want it now.
Yeah, sort it out.
Just sort it out. So obviously I've got that email. I'll jump on. So example, and notice who I've mentioned. Gary AI.
Gary AI.
Because I know you use Hootsuite to automate stuff, and now you use Gary AI.
Mr. Gary AI, just if you're not listening, if you go back to our automation episode, couple back on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Gary AI. Sorry. sorry, Mr. Gary AI was our name for our automated person, which I've now put into some automations, and it says regards, Mr. Gary AI. So there's the backstory.
It's great. But yeah, so how are you using, or how can you explain to our listeners the efficiency in HubSpot?
Yep. So every month, for example, we want to survey our customers to go, what's in your social media? There's, what could we include? What news have you got going on? What event? What's gone well? Has someone done something cool in your business? Like what's the good stories that are out there? Tell us.
Yeah.
So rather than manually emailing
which is what you used to do to Resilient.
Each individual person. What we did was we set up a Microsoft Forms. Use it. That's in Teams and 365.
No, it's not,
exactly.
Is it?
So at the moment I use MailChimp. To manage that. So we have all of our signed up social media people in MailChimp. They get a link to the form. They click on the form. They answer the questions.
We fill it in.
You fill it in. You hit submit, and then it automatically puts it in, because it's a form, it automatically puts it in an Excel document in Teams. It also now, because of the automation that we've used, messages the team channel and notifies the team in Teams. And it also sends the answers via email to our social media account.
Automation, I love it.
Yeah, so we get it 3 ways, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not duplicate. It's just going, hey, it's here. And then that just lets us know that we can then include that in the content calendars.
Again, great way, great efficiency. I know because I've been part of that. And obviously we've discussed version 2 about how do we even automate further. But again, if you can automate something or be more efficient, that's the way that you can gain more time.
Yep. Another example is Calendly.
Please do.
I've been using a bit of that. I've just set up a Calendly calendar for this place, actually.
Right.
For this room. And that's going to be used to just manage availability, central place. So yeah, that's one thing. But also I've used, in lockdown, my mum and dad also run a yoga business.
Yes.
So they took all of their classes online, as did everyone. And I helped them with that. They were like, oh, what do we use? I'm like, MailChimp. We can manage everybody in MailChimp. What we're trying to do is encourage them to sign up to the mailing list, and then you can send them class information and they can choose whether they join. But what I did was, when you sign up, it was you had to verify that you wanted to sign up with your email. So it was a just sort of verifying that it's a valid contact, not spam. And then I set up automated emails to go out going, thank you for signing up. So they were aware, rather than my mum having to go through and email everyone. And also, you're trying to anticipate the questions. So it'd be like, thank you for signing up. Here's how this is going to work. Here's what you need. And here's how you will join. Yeah.
Here's a link to some FAQs.
And actually, here's a link to some videos that we've already done that are on YouTube. Right. So if you want to do some yoga from YouTube, please feel free to do that in the meantime.
Perfect.
And it just minimized the number of inquiries, traffic, because they were told there and then.
And we touched this on the previous episode when we were talking about Gary AI, where you said, let's link to frequent asked questions. Because again, that links the efficiency, is it links all the way back to the standards and the procedures. Here is a question that somebody's asked that we've not had the answer before, or nobody's asked it before. Not only do you answer that question in an email, you then go, I'll add that to the FAQ list.
100%.
So your procedures is you will add it, because the next person that asks it, you can then just go, thank you very much for contacting us regarding this. Have you seen our FAQ page? 100%. It may be that person then emails you back and goes, thanks, I didn't think, I looked on the FAQ, no need to answer me now. For that efficiency, you've now gone, I don't have to do anything now.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's working.
There's a lot, and there can be a lot of back and forth. I think the key thing about, and I know you're going to go into something else, but about Resilient, but the key thing for me is, whilst we're using a lot of words and talking about a lot of things, is how the technology sits behind all this.
Which is what it was the idea of this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So that, for example, rules, that's rules that we put in place as people.
Yeah.
But it then determines how you'd use that technology. What's this example? Go on in.
Right, so
go on in. I want to know.
We use our software to install. So we were talking about Project Up.
Yes.
Yeah. So again, take Adam's bookshop. You say to me that we've got George coming along. He's an admin person. And again, let's make it easy. He would like a desktop. He'd like Microsoft 365 with his email software. He uses Google Chrome a lot because that's his preferred browser.
Yep.
You know, there are other browsers out there to balance the thing. Microsoft Edge, Firefox, Brave, all the rest of them. He also wants Google Earth as a shortcut, and he wants access to Teams, and he wants access to your CRM software. Okay,
Yep.
so as part of that project I've identified that you need all of this software. We use some software out there that allows me to create what's called packages. So Google Chrome is a package. Microsoft 365 is a package. I get your brand new machine, desktop, because I've followed my procedures and rules. I've sorted out the setup of that machine. I then, using our software, go automatically deploy the software for George, and it will automatically install Google Chrome, set the pin, do this, install Microsoft 365, and it all flows through. So, what would normally, and I think myself and Michelle, we timed it, normally by putting all the updates on and installing our software, it's about an hour's work, about 60 minutes.
Yeah.
We've now got that down to 25 minutes.
Right.
Obviously, the patches and updates, I can't help with that.
Yeah.
But from the minute that I sign on as George, and then I deploy this software, the machine reboots, I log on as George, and I'm going, well, there's Google Chrome, there's Microsoft 365, there's that software, there's that software, that's that. So that software that I've purchased for Resilient, I don't get extra time out of it. I don't pass that cost on to my customer, but I've made Resilient more efficient. And what's even nicer is the software. You say to me, I've got George, Georgina, and Gary working for me. I've increased now. I want a desktop. I want a profile for that. But I could set all three of those machines up. And I'm not doing one by one. I'm now going.
Yeah.
And then I get the software to go deploy that to there, deploy that to there. So suddenly, that 25 minutes, I've done 3 machines.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
More
that's
efficient.
That's very cool.
Yeah, so that's more efficient in terms of that.
I love it. I think we all need to strive to make the most out of the technology that we have available to us.
I think so.
And I'm the same. And I like to think that we go far, but we know there's more we could do.
The thing is, though, Adam, it comes from anywhere and anything. I'm literally looking at the Roadcaster.
Yep.
Now, if we go back, you genuinely said this, and I know that I can openly say this. You went out and you purchased this, yeah?
Yep.
You can't pass this cost on to Resilient. You can't pass on. But how much more efficient are you going to be doing podcasts with this piece of hardware?
So the exact thing. Let's geek out on the tech for a minute. So this has got Revolution preamps, is what it says, but it's got a preamp. So what a preamp does, it basically boosts the microphones, makes them sound great. Yeah.
Okay.
In the simplest terms. But then on the back of this, the processing that I would normally do on my computer after this.
I'm sorry, what is the processing that you would do?
Parametric equalizer is one of them.
Yeah, okay. Talk to me as if I'm a layman. What on earth?
So you look at the sound waves that like this. And as we're talking, you'll see all these wiggles. And what you can do is drag, kind of like a photo, editing a photo. Do you know light? I was talking about moving the lights, and it changes the lights, the darks, the shadows. So kind of like that, you can do the low noises, the high noises.
The high noises.
Yeah. And then sort of the mid tones and everything that goes in between.
Right.
So what you can do with a parametric equalizer is quite often you pull down the lows, pull down the highs, the noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can then play with the different frequencies to see if there's a bit of noise in a particular place, and then sort of offset that. So reduce it to avoid the noise. That is a very layman way of explaining it. And I am just at the tip of the iceberg in terms of treating audio and using audio, if I'm being perfectly honest. So if there's an audio person out there that's local that wants to come in and talk to us, do it.
On a podcast?
Do it.
Please.
The difference is this Roadcaster now, I've set profiles up for these microphones.
Okay.
And it's applying all of those different levels of processing as we're doing it.
So could you apply a different profile to your microphone, to my microphone, to another microphone?
I can. So I've just pressed a button there. I can actually turn my processing off now. So whether that sounds any different, I haven't really. I could put my headphones on.
You could.
Whether that sounds too different or not too different, that's up to you. But actually, that does clear up the signal, and it is subtle, but it keeps the signal nice and clean. So here you can have depth, sparkle, and punch. Ooh. See that on there?
I do.
And then you can add
Oh, you can get the echo.
Echo, reverb, all of those sort of things on there. So the difference is you can apply it to different microphones, different things. Rode wirelesses are on there.
Yeah.
So they're the wireless microphones that we use.
Yeah, but
So it's
talking about
profile.
microphones, Adam, including not only is this equipment making more efficient, I've noticed, and we mentioned the very first podcast, we can now have 2 more guests on.
We can.
Yeah, whereas before it was literally just yourself.
Yeah, because I was
Myself.
using a mixer, which is awesome. A USB
it is.
mixer that's
Yeah.
incredible. But it only had 2 XLR things. I could then try and jack others in. But I was like, we're getting to the point, especially what we're doing with Stream Space, is there's a demand for this now.
Yeah.
And the way I see it is, I can't remember the quote, isn't it like about serving people? If that makes sense, being useful.
Being useful to serve.
Us having this facility in this building for here and for Innovation Central, there's a real use.
I think so.
I imagine. And it's not just that, it's like it could be voiceover stuff. I've had to do, I did a voiceover for the library.
I remember that, yeah.
But I could record it and it'll save my time on the processing because I can put all the processing in here and the quality, it should sound better.
It
should sound better. Obviously, bearing in mind we're working on this.
Yeah,
but
of course.
This is essentially what you were looking at here is essentially a laptop and a mixer in one.
Yeah. With
And
lots of extra functionality as well.
all I need to do is eject the card at the end of the thing and I can upload that direct to the podcasting platform that we need to do. I don't need to then sit and listen and
So
play with
I'd like
levels.
to pick up on 2 points. Definitely, and I think you're going to answer, obviously, yes. Does this make you more efficient?
Yes.
Right, okay. Now, secondly, not only has it made you more efficient, has it added breadth? You've now got 2 extra microphones. You've now got an extra revenue with DreamSpace. So again, by being more efficient, you've actually managed, hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood, you've managed to increase costs, increase your revenue because you're going to get...
That is very loud train.
That's a very loud train. It'd be
I don't
interesting
know
to pick
whether that one came through.
But you've also managed to increase your revenue. So again, by being more efficient, you've made, I know this is HubSpot, but if you apply those efficiencies to Adam's bookshop, more efficient, therefore you're more profitable, therefore you can grow, therefore, and
I think
whole thing goes
for me,
on.
I can summarize it in the first point.
Yeah.
Standard.
Yeah.
This gives me a good professional standard.
That's nice. I like that.
And I know this from using all my professional camera gear.
Yeah.
It costs a fortune. It does cost a fortune.
Yeah.
But I take that on so then I can do that for other people.
But you were talking
makes
about Adobe Photoshop. Don't get angry. Do not get angry with me. It is expensive.
It is expensive.
That software that I was talking about to automatically deploy software, it's expensive. But
Yeah.
how much time does it save me? What it also, and again, I love the way that you've linked it back. So I'm saying 25 minutes to do my installation of software. However, standards. Because I know the software is automated going, I will install this, I will install this, I will install.
Yeah.
It's not like, Adam, can you install all the software you know for Adam's bookshop?
Yeah.
I deliver the machine and then Adam goes, Andy, where's the CRM? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. I've made standards, I've made procedures, I've made efficiencies.
100%. And I think, standard for me, it's always been something that I've prided myself on in terms of quality. And in my experience, if you buy cheap, you do buy twice.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, it depends on what it is.
Yeah,
it depends on what it is, and it needs to be a reasonable decision.
Well, you mentioned the other week when we were talking, when you very first set up, you got a camera. It was a good camera, but it was not a top of the range camera.
Nope.
And then you upgraded, and how much more efficient were you?
Oh, loads.
Yeah, exactly,
loads.
mate,
And,
exactly.
and it's the fact that it wasn't just that; it was these cameras shoot two
Correct.
cards at once.
Yes, exactly.
So I've got a backup.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it is about standards. It is about thinking where you want to be going forward.
Yeah.
And again, it just, it kind of, this as an example kind of encapsulates a lot of the things that we've talked about here. And then the key one is that decision making.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly.
Making it for the right reasons. The reason why we have this is because whilst it might not sound the best today, and please give us that, because I literally had 20 minutes on it yesterday.
Yeah. Going, I think it's okay.
Not going, I'm a monster voice. I'm a high-pitched voice. I think
But let us know.
I'm going to figure that out. But I know that I can make this work amazing.
Yeah.
I really know I can make this work amazing. And we're still in a slightly echoey room.
We are.
Which isn't finished yet.
Nope. Going to get better.
But again, do we hold the podcast?
No, we don't.
Exactly.
We talked about that.
you make that decision, you go for it.
Because also what's going to be interesting is, and thank you to our listeners out there, we do get feedback, and the feedback helps.
It does.
It really does. Apart from when you steal chipmunks.
Apart from when I steal chipmunks.
So there you go, my friend. How
That is
about that
really
for
good.
a half past 6 thing?
I think that is really good. And I wondered whether we produce that into a PDF.
Do you want to know the best thing about it, my friend?
What?
Adam is now well established. I'm just going back to the original thing.
Okay.
Adam is now well established, has a good reputation with the industry, and his business is growing. He employs 4 staff, but finds himself incredibly busy and wishes he had a...
Andy.
No. What's the word I'm missing? Wishes he had a...
Spare set.
Spare. Have a look at him. S for standards, P for procedures, A for actions, R for rules, E for efficiency.
Check you out.
S.P.A.R.E. By doing all of those things, you gain a spare set of hands.
Andy,
If I had a mic, Adam, I'd stand it down.
Andy,
How about that?
Andy. God, you've upped your game, mate. That is brilliant.
Do you like that?
Right.
That's without a coffee in the morning as well.
Yeah, I'm
Remember I
impressed.
said Michelle hates me because like 5 o'clock I was like, we haven't got a podcast thing. Right.
Rummaging around.
And I was literally got my shower, got breakfast, and 6:30 I'm like, Michelle, what are you doing? This is going to be good.
So we've got guests coming up. So things are going to change a wee bit.
Yeah, not next week, is it? It's the week after, I think.
I might have a guest for next week.
Oh
actually.
my goodness me.
Might
I'm
have a guest
excited.
for
Drum
next
roll,
week.
please. Oh, we've got a drum.
Hang on.
Well, I bet we haven't.
Hang on. Oh no, that's the air horn. Sorry.
Yeah, let's not do that. Sorry about that,
sorry.
people.
Sorry. Crickets.
Circles.
Sorry.
You can scroll. There's one of the things that you can do. Sorry, we're just playing.
Yeah, here we go. Applause.
Yeah,
Hey,
thank you.
There we go.
Spare. Thank you. I rest my case. Do you like that?
Yeah. So we're going to bring some visitors in. And actually, I've got 2 guests. Another one is Mr. Dan from reception downstairs.
Get in. Is he off?
He wants to come in. So, Dan, we're calling you out.
Calling you out.
He's growing his mustache for Movember. It looks amazing.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Yeah. But so we're going to get some guests in, and we're going to start talking to some other organizations as well.
Yeah,
and we will
so.
try and link it to tech and how they use it and what their experience is.
Yeah, exactly.
Without them going too ranty.
No, it's fine. But I wanted to do today to bring us back to Adam, but I just thought that was a nice little
spare.
A nice little spare. Do you like that? That was good, eh?
I love that.
It's good, mate.
That is brilliant.
Very good.
Right.
So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, thank you for coming 2 days earlier.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm off to York.
Yeah, off to York. So
off to York tomorrow for more shift convention.
So you're Thursday and Friday?
Yeah, so part of this London work, obviously being transport work, I want to make sure I'm networking with the right people. So Boroughs of London, I'm coming for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, but obviously I've worked with Mode Shift over a number of years.
They're lovely people.
They're great and doing some incredible work. But yeah, so obviously with me getting the transport work in London, absolutely right place to be, and it gives me an opportunity to do some networking for the upcoming project that we'll be delivering in London.
And York's a lovely place, so
it's great. Yeah. It's great. So what about you?
Went to see David yesterday, so hopefully that'll come tomorrow. I'm off to the lovely Middleton Teesdale.
Oh,
yeah. So
nice.
That's Monday. That's Thursday morning, Middleton Teesdale. We've got the IT director from Germany over. So he comes over every couple of months. Yep. It's a really nice thing to meet up. And again, funnily enough, honestly, he loves chatting with us and going, okay, over the last couple of months, these projects didn't go well, Andrew. Why? And again, that's not like aimed at resilience. It's aimed at what, how did we? And he's very big on that, and I love him for it. He's like, how did we fail? Or how can we become more efficient? So that's really good. And then, oddly enough, one of the things that I meant to talk to you after this podcast, but I mentioned it now. Tomorrow afternoon, I'm going over to Dinsdale Golf Club.
Oh.
And they've installed something called TrackMan. Yes. So what this is, you might have seen it. There's a couple of places
Just hit
local.
the ball.
hit the ball, but it actually tracks you. You've got an app. You can see how far it's going. It's really good.
It gives you like spin speed and
it's phenomenal.
I might
really
have dabbled
nice,
in a bit of golf. I've never used one of those though.
No, but it's really nice. What's good for me is that the guy Max, hi Max, if you're listening, you won't be, but I always say that. He told me about the system, and he went, "It's using something called Ubiquity hardware, Andy," and I was like, "Oh yes." He went, "Oh, hang on a minute," and I said, "Look to your left, Max," and he went, "You're using Ubiquity as well, aren't you?" And I went, "Yeah." He went, "I didn't even realize we were using it." So that's great. It just links in because TrackMan came along and they said, "We use Ubiquity, we find it's the best." And then, Max was great by going, "We use Ubiquity as well." But what I'd really like to do is that Max is going places with this thing. So I've already told him I want to invite you down.
Yep.
So we'll get that going. A couple of pictures about the TrackMan, how it links with Ubiquity to TrackMan.
Only if I get to hit a ball and see how far it slices.
Absolutely. We're very good at slicing. And then Friday just in the office, and then a relaxing weekend. Yes, because I was working last weekend, funny enough, at Technomark, putting some UPSs in. But no, nothing planned this weekend.
I'm DJing House is a Feeling.
Get it.
House is a Feeling. Yeah. Oh, hang on. House is a Feeling. Hold on.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Sorry,
I can't hear.
The headphones are arriving.
All right.
The headphones are arriving. Yeah. So, doing that on Saturday night in Middlesbrough. Quite nervous, actually.
Well, you should be.
It's been doing my live mixing, proper mix.
Remind me of the top DJ, apart from you. Don't mention you. But
Piano Man.
Piano Man.
Sarasota.
Oh, gosh. So it's going to be good.
Yeah, no, it's good.
So where is it for people who are interested?
Club XS in Middlesbrough.
Wow. Open or tickets?
Yeah, tickets, I think on the door, £5, if I remember rightly.
Pretty good.
Yep. So, I mean, I am opening, so I don't expect it to be bouncing with people when I'm there. But,
though.
I have no issue embracing it for what it is.
Can I ask a question then?
Yep.
Are you going to be live on Mixcloud doing it?
I won't be for that, but what I want to do is record the mix if I can.
Yeah.
And then I'll post it after the fact.
Please. Yeah. No, that'd be good.
But yeah, I'd love to be.
I'd love to be live. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I know, but I think I just need to focus on the
focus on this. Yeah, exactly.
So I'm due to play rugby on Saturday, and then it's quite nice actually just having an hour's set to do.
Yeah,
so it's just
you said it relaxes you, doesn't it?
Yeah, turn up, set of headphones, USB stick, and play an hour.
Play an hour, and then are you going to stay for the rest of it?
I'll stay for a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, but not too much. Obviously, the kids,
too much. Yeah,
but that'd be really good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for listening to episode 13. Hopefully, we'll see you next week, and with guests next week, shall we say?
I'd like to think so.
I'd like to think so.
I'm waiting. I might have an email sat in my inbox saying, "Yeah, next week sounds great."
Okay. Well, say Friday the 8th. I've definitely got 2 people lined up.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, take it easy, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Bye.